Yeah, baby. What's going on, guys? Rye Flawless here, bringing you another Flawless Clips video. This time I'm going to do my review on Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. So, I feel like this has been a long time coming. I feel like on a lot of my highlight videos, people have asked what I thought about this game. And just by looking at those, you guys can tell that I'm definitely enjoying it. But what makes this good? What are maybe some pitfalls of the game? We're going to go ahead and take a look at those things today. So, first I want to get this out of the way because this is something that in several of my videos leading up to this I said that I really wasn't happy with at announcement of the game, and that's the Pokemon Go integration. So, now that I've actually played the game, is this a good thing or a bad thing? I actually think it's a good thing. I think you should be able to interact with all the available Pokemon games in the current generation. I think that just makes sense. I think that's something that they've done in the past, and it just works. I think that being able to trade from Pokemon Go doesn't change how you experience this game. So, there's no reason not to have Pokemon Go integration. And, you know, that's not me talking about the catching mechanics, because we will talk about that later in the video, but just being able to trade Pokemon over from Pokemon Go is actually a good thing for Pokemon. And let's also talk about Melton, who is a Pokemon that's exclusive to Pokemon Go and can be transferred over to Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. So I think that's also a really good mechanic. It's almost like an event Pokemon, and it also kind of forces players to play Pokemon Go and Let's Go Pikachu, which is, you know, it's good for sales to have mechanics like that. It's good to get people to use both titles, which is, I think, is good. I think being able to interact with both fan bases is always a good thing, especially because some people, you know, don't plan on getting Let's Go Pikachu or don't have a Switch, and some people don't plan on playing Pokemon Go. But when you have one person that plays Pokemon Go and one person that plays Let's Go Pikachu, they can work together to get Melton in both those games, and even work together to get Melmetal, which is the evolution, which can only be evolved in Pokemon Go. And it's kind of a long, drawn-out process, which I'm working on right now. So, beyond the Pokemon Go integration, let's also talk about the graphics. This is the first HD Pokemon, I'm going to call it core RPG, with the same elements from the core titles. And I think it looks great. I absolutely love the Pokemon design. I think they've done a really good job. I mean, I will always miss sprites, but with the 3DS titles, they already moved away from sprites. Those are full 3D models. This just makes them look that much better. The character design, I think, can maybe grow a little bit, but to be honest, I never want to see a Pokemon game with photorealistic characters. I don't want that. I mean, they do that in Pokemon Go, which is fine. But in the core games, I always want to see those cartoon-like characters. I don't want it to come to being a more realistic looking game. But that's just my opinion. Alright, and this is a Gen 1 remake, particularly Pokemon Yellow version remake. And I think that this honestly is one of the best remakes of Gen 1. I mean, you got Fire Red and Leaf Green, which were on the Game Boy Advance, which are good. But this just adds something new and fresh to it. Because I've gone back and played the old ones multiple times, and it's kind of gotten stale, even though I do love those generations of the game, but they've kind of gotten stale. This game made it fun again. It was very accessible. It never felt tedious. It just was fun to play all the way through. I have 60 hours into the game, and there's just so much you can do in it. And the battle mechanics have stayed the same as they've always been. It actually feels very much like Gen 1 because they did get rid of held items, and you just have your 4 moves on the one screen. It just plays very much like a Gen 1 game. I do wish they made the battle options a little more appealing looking, but as far as the way it plays, if you played a Gen 1 Pokemon game, you're gonna feel right at home here. Alright guys, so the other big change other than Pokemon Go integration would be the catching mechanic. Is this good? Is it bad? What do I think of it? What do I think of it going forward? I think for this game, it's not a bad option. I think that it actually works really well in this game. But I do like playing in handheld better. I think it's easier and more accessible for people who've been playing Pokemon for a long time like I have. Being as you only have to aim, click a button and time it to catch the Pokemon. I think that just feels more at home for me, and plus I just like playing Pokemon games handheld. That's how they've always been. That's how I like playing them. And so the motion control aspect, if you're playing on TV, if you're playing in tabletop mode, the catching or throwing mechanic, it's not exactly intuitive because you don't have a sensor bar or anything like that to track the movement all that much. What you're doing is it's tracking how the Joy-Con's moving, so it doesn't necessarily feel like you're throwing a ball because it's just based off of a simple movement. And if you have to throw the ball to the left or the right, you're basically flicking the Joy-Con to the left or the right and not aiming in that direction and doing a natural throwing motion. So that does make it seem a little bit awkward at times, but I don't think it's a bad mechanic. I just don't think it's necessarily the most intuitive way for this to be done. And with the Nintendo Switch specs the way they are, you can't, unless you add an infrared sensor bar or some kind of camera system, you're not going to be able to make that full range of motion to aim and throw in a more natural way. And let's talk about co-op, because co-op, this is the first time this has been added to Pokemon. I think it's fun, but I think it's a little bit limited and kind of lacking in my opinion, because player 1 does all the interaction. It's almost like player 1 is a real character and then player 2 is like your imaginary friend, because only player 1 can interact with characters and prompt battles and prompt catching a Pokemon. So player 2 is just kind of you can move around freely, but you can't do anything really, as far as in the overworld. And once you're in a catching phase or in a battle, then player 2 can then use the mechanics just like player 1 will. So for catching, you get your own Pokeball and you can bull throw, and you actually get more experience by throwing the ball at the same time and gain a synchronized catch. And in battles, it turns into a semi-double battle where you get 2 Pokemon on your side, because each trainer will get a Pokemon out of your 6 Pokemon party, but it puts the trainers on the other end, the CPU, at a huge disadvantage. So it does make the game very easy to play it in co-op. But they did make it so that later on in the game, it is the best way to get experience, to grind up and get Pokemon to level 100. And does this mechanic become tedious? Is it bad for the game? I'm going to say no. I'm going to actually say it makes it a little bit more enjoyable, because it breaks up the battling, which there's tons of trainer battles. You don't ever feel like, oh, there's too much of just throwing this ball and not battling. No, it never feels like that in this game. They've added trainers, different types of trainers. It's a lot of battling, and there's times where I even felt like the battling became tedious, and catching was a good break from that. So overall, I think this is actually a really great game, but it is lacking my favorite thing from the newer Pokemon games, and that would be all of the online features that were brought in, even starting with the DS. So we're missing GTS, we're missing Battle Spot, we're missing Wonder Trades, and all those things I really enjoy about the game. I especially love competitive battling, and in this game it's very limited as far as the options, obviously because there's less Pokemon, but per Pokemon there's less options because you don't have effort values and things like that. So having those drawbacks are definitely hurt my opinion of the game, just from a multiplayer aspect. But overall, in a single-player experience, this is a great game. I think it's a must-have on the Nintendo Switch. I think you can just get so many enjoyable hours out of it. I already have 60 hours in this game, and there's several more things that I want to do. And also, I could keep doing this video probably for another 20 minutes to a half hour and never be done talking about the different aspects of this game. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it where it's at. Like I said, I really think you should pick this game up, but for now I'm gonna get the heck out of here. And if you like what you saw, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. You're all flawless. Bye.